Hello everyone, and welcome back to PokePaint, the series where I draw new fakemon to inhabit my fan-made Pokemon region of Trapor. Right after the last video came out, I wrote out a little outline for myself of videos that I wanted to make during this year, and in doing so realized that we are in the home stretch for this season of PokePaint. Besides for your contest submissions that you can send over on the Discord, the link in the code in the description will be right this time, don't worry. We've finished filling out the Trapor region's Pokedex. Well, besides for the legendaries. So in this video, not only will we be making 6 new Mega Evolutions as promised, accompanying my Mega designs, I also wanted to begin designing my Elite Four members, designing one today and the rest during the following few videos. But I'll explain my thoughts behind the entire Elite Four right now, before I get into my Megas, to give you all better context for my designs. In choosing the type specialities of each of my Elite Four members, I first had to decide what types were on the table, so I made a chart of used and unused types to aid in my decision making. For used types, including our gym leaders and champion, we have Water, Flying, Dark, Fighting, Electric, Fire, Ghost, Dragon, and Fairy. That leaves 9 usable types to choose from, that being Normal, Poison, Ground, Rock, Bug, Steel, Grass, Psychic, and Ice. I wanted to make a very traditional Elite Four, one that might be found in like the older games, so no tournament style or any order Elite Four like Black and White. Trapors would just be a classic first to last, no healing structure. Those being in number order: a Steel type specialist, a Grass type specialist, a Poison type specialist, and an Ice type specialist. Each having a specific function in mind. The Steel Elite Four member would act as a defensively bulky wall to bar your entrance to the Elite Four, giving consequence to losing with a lengthy entry battle. The Grass specialist serves as an offensive challenge, whittling down your HP while healing themselves in the process, ridding you of much of your healing items if you did not plan ahead. The Poison type Elite Four member would inflict many status effects to whittle down your HP, and of course get rid of all of your pesky poison and paralysis healing items. The final Elite Four member, the Ice type trainer, would be armed with many high freeze probability moves, to ideally leave you with a few frozen and temporarily unusable Pokemon for your champion fight. I think the structure of my Elite Four is relatively well thought out, and they might pose a real challenge were this narrative a real game. And hopefully that explanation suffices, as we will be designing our heavily defensive Steel trainer today. But not before we get to the first half of our new Mega Evolutions. I'll start off here today with a Mega that I both planned on doing as far back as the summer, and was also very heavily requested in the comments, that being Uebug. The thought here was quite simple, and probably the easiest Mega to come up with of all time. Since the first form was a pill bug that resembled a Pokeball, and evolved into one resembling a Great Ball and then an Ultra Ball, it only made sense that this Pokemon would have a Mega that resembled a Masterball. I took a lot of visual inspiration from Orbeetle. Would be a far better surface to translate the Masterball pattern onto, while keeping the beetle-like wings from the true form. I did this one on a live stream at the beginning of the month, and for those of you who made it, I had an excellent time. It was kind of a last-minute stream that I didn't officially announce on the YouTube community tab, so I'm surprised as many people showed up as they did. While on stream, I talked briefly about my thought process behind Mega Evolutions and creating Megas in general. As I had completed most of this video's Megas by that point already, it really boils down to more. It's been said by a couple of Fakemon artists at this point, but I'll repeat the idea here, that in designing a Mega, it's not a bad idea to embrace the ridiculousness of an overcomplicated or overbusy design, as the main idea behind designing these is to take an aspect of the original Pokemon and add to it, or take a design feature and turn it up to 11, so to speak. This idea was best represented in my next 2 designs, but for now, Mega Uebug, the Masterball Pokemon. When Uebug Mega evolves, it takes on a form where its exoskeleton resembles the outer casing of a Masterball. It is unknown exactly why, but it is agreed that 4 coincidental Pokeball-related appearances in a row cannot be simply a chance. There is a theory that the physical appearance of Mega evolved Pokemon may have something to do with the expectations that their trainers have going in, explaining this new appearance. However, more research is needed. So someone suggested that I either do a Dunsparce or Dudunsparce Mega evolution. After I gave it some thought, I'm really glad that this was suggested because it ended up being one of my favorites. I think Dunsparce is a very funny Pokemon, and it didn't need an evolution. The whole thing in its Pokedex entry about it maybe having some untapped power or whatever was, of course, always supposed to be a joke. With that being said, I do love Dudunsparce, especially how it kept the theme of this Pokemon being kind of useless, but people having high expectations for it. Just adding a segment and keeping its boring and unspecial appearance. I know people wanted some awesome draconic design, but that would have gone completely against what made Dunsparce special. It's a dud. And the fact that its evolution is as well means that even though Dunsparce should have never gotten a final form, I do love its evolution. With all of that in mind, I set out to make a Dudunsparce Mega that adhered to both people's expectations and also to the original meaning of the design. In being almost self-aware in its look, I thought it'd be a good idea to continue with the addition of segments that was started in Dudunsparce, while keeping the body looking largely the same, and at the same time pose it in a way to where it may in fact look like it has some untapped draconic or angelic powers, even though in reality it's still pretty useless. Mega Dudunsparce, the land snake Pokemon. Dunsparce was once thought to have a mysterious untapped potential somewhere in its biological data, which is what prompted scientists to discover its evolution Dudunsparce. Its discovery, however, disappointed a lot of people as it still appeared to be largely useless. After a third evolution could not be tapped, scientists attempted to and successfully discovered its Mega evolution. Although this Pokemon appears to bring positive conclusion to the claim that Dunsparce had a mysterious and untapped power, it is still unclear exactly how true that is, as Mega Dudunsparce is still considered to be a bit of a dunce. This third Mega design was one that I came up with all by myself, and is sort of meant to be a surprise for a very good friend of mine whose favorite Pokemon is Machamp. This mon, like the last, exemplifies what I believe to be the biggest rule in making Megas, taking a certain iconic aspect of the original design and amplifying it, sometimes to a ridiculous degree. I added another set of arms as I wanted to invite the comparison of certain Hindu deities, many of which are often depicted with multiple sets of arms. Although I don't pretend to know anything about Hinduism, the design aspect seemed to be a good fit for Machamp, as it added a certain deific quality to make it look that much more powerful. I gave Mega Machamp a chunk of earth to hold that resembles a mountain in its shape, as in one of the Pokedex entries, Machamp is said to be able to move mountains with its bare hands, and like the previous design idea, I thought that would give it an equally deific look. My final last-minute design idea was to give it a pair of compression pants, like in its Gigantamax form. There's really no reason to this, I just like the look. Mega Machamp, the Superpower Pokemon. This form of Machamp is known to have the most powerful punch in the world, able to hit 6 times in a second with each of its fists. That power is enough to generate a magnitude 7 earthquake in its close vicinity. While coming up with Mega Evolution ideas and reading through some of your comments, I realized that a few of the Pokemon that I had made regional forms for already had Mega Evolutions in the main series. And so I thought about giving them their own Mega regional variants of their own. Starting with Troporian Gyarados, this Mega would possibly be the most similar to its original Mega out of them all. If you remember, this regional form of Gyarados was designed after the Oarfish, because there's a theory out there that that the explorers of the past who thought that they were seeing sea dragons were actually just seeing these alien-looking oarfish. Like the real-life oarfish, my regional Gyarados would appear to be far more docile than the Cantonian counterpart, to reflect the oarfish's more benign temperament, in comparison to the rageful personality of many Western sea dragons. In designing its Mega, I thought it would be appropriate to swap its personality back 180 degrees to a more aggressive design, as Megas are often designed to be far more aggressive than their original. In doing so, I added horns in place of its head crest, as the head crest is absent in my regional form. This had the cool side effect of making this version look a bit devilish, which I really like. I added another set of whiskers, as I thought the confusing mass of tendrils under it served several functions, mainly to make it appear more intimidating and just with more confusing mass, but also to make it look closer to its real-life inspiration, as many species of oarfish have multiple sets of similar tendrils. I changed the sharper shape of the fins to resemble my rounder versions, which had a positive side effect of giving it a more massive appearance. The color palette remained the same, just reworked into this alternate version. Mega Troporian Gyarados, the Atrocious Pokemon. The Mega form of this Pokemon is far more aggressive than its base form, and appears to fight in a blind rage, a huge juxtaposition to its original more benevolent attitude. Its added tendrils give it excellent sensory perception of its environment, making up for its bad eyesight. Using these tendrils, it can interpret its enemy's movements by reading electrical signals from afar. It can react to moves before their opponent even decides to attack. As I did a Mega for Gyarados, I too wanted to make a Mega for Sharpido for a similar reason. It originally differed very little from its original Mega, but as I went on in the design process, I came up with the idea that this Mega could draw visual inspiration from ghost ships and shipwrecks. This wasn't too difficult of a change, since the original Mega Sharpido has the shape of a speedboat already. Giving a few extra dorsal fins gave it the illusion of having a set of sails, like a massive pirate ship. Other qualities that draw a comparison to a ghost ship include this chin that I lengthened out to appear like the prolonged front portion that can be found on the bows of many modern sailing vessels. And I also kept the chains from its original version, shrinking them down to make this Pokemon appear far more massive and having multiple anchor lines stretch off out of sight like some ghostly tentacles. This allowed it to appear far more massive than it actually was, like a big lumbering ship, and yeah, that might have made a better G-Max form, but I'm still happy with the direction that it went. Mega Troporian Sharpido, the Shipwreck Pokemon. These Mega Sharpido lack the speed of their Hoennian cousins. What they lack in speed they make up for with a massive special attack stat. The haunting glare from a Mega Sharpido alone is known to send less steadfast enemies running. And finally, due to popular request, we have our very own Mega Vireknight. Seriously, behind Uebug and my starters, this Pokemon may have been the most heavily requested Pokemon to receive a Mega Evolution. That's a good thing though, because I very quickly came up with a perfect idea that I just couldn't wait to see through. Since one of this Pokemon's main design aspects is that the fire sword plant flowers on its hand can be used as actual swords, it gave me the idea of using a related trope to influence the design. You know how in a lot of shonen anime, there's that trope of the main characters wielding massive, unrealistically huge swords? Well, that almost immediately came to mind when drawing this Mega, so I gave it a massive superheated sword that would dwarf the size of its real body. With the sword resting on its shoulders and my refining of its more simple lower body, that made for a super cool silhouette. My final note is a change that I made to its Pokédex page. I actually had to go back and change all of the pages of every single Pokemon in each line featured in this video, to add the Mega Evolution symbol to their evolution chart. This extra time spent on the old Pokedex pages gave me a moment to reflect on a huge missed opportunity here with this Pokemon's ability. Originally, I gave this Pokemon the Chlorophyll ability, as many regional plant Pokemon have that ability, but in remembering that the first and second forms are meant to resemble Poison Ivy, I realized that it was a huge missed opportunity not to give it the Flame Body ability, to reflect how the oil on Poison Ivy leaves a burning sensation and accompanying blisters on most people's skin. So I made the change. Mega Vireknight, the sword plant Pokemon. The massive blade attached to one of its hands is heated to 950 degrees Fahrenheit. The only material that appears to be able to resist its massively hot temperatures are the oils that coat this Pokemon's leafy plumage. It is noted that most of these Pokemon have a sword attached to their right arm, but very occasionally, Vireknight can be found with swords growing out of their left arm instead. So here is the first half of my Mega Evolution designs for the Trapor region. I hope you like them and that you're excited for the other half, and more importantly, that you will leave your suggestions for Megas that you want to see in the comments below, because I haven't even started drawing the ones for the next video. Now, though you may have forgotten, we're not quite done with this video yet, as we have the first of the Elite Four designs to draw, the first being the Steel-type Specialist. I knew that I wanted her to be physically imposing to mirror her role in her being an imposing wall of a Steel-type trainer. Making her a knight in shining armor seemed to be a great direction in which to send the design. I took great inspiration from Wickstrom from the Kalos Elite Four, while also keeping in mind to make my Elite Four members more memorable than others in the past. I colored her armor in such a way that it would share a color palette with her ace Pokemon Mega Metagross. On top of that, I purposefully designed the shield on the top of her staff to resemble the face and claws of Metagross. Her name, Ansel, means the protector or the defender in Old English, and her backstory alludes to her being from a foreign region with a cold climate. However, when she met champion Mira on her first Pokemon journey, they became fast friends, and when Mira became the champion of Trapor, Ansel moved to the Trapor region to become an Elite Four member to be with her old traveling companion. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Pokemon, and that you're excited about the Megas that I drew here today, and about the Megas that are soon to come. And on top of that, for the next year of exciting videos that I have in store. I'm going to shift focus to more DIY and History of the Future videos for the end of this month, to give you all more time to get your contest entries in. If you aren't aware yet, I'm running a contest over on my Discord, the link's in the description, where you can submit your own Pokemon designs for a chance to have me redraw them in my own style and add them to the Trapor Pokedex at the end of this month. You can submit as many as you want, being Megas or regular Pokemon. However, I will only be drawing 3 evolutionary lines in total, so be sure to make your entries count. Speaking of, I didn't think I'd enjoy this contest as much as I do, but I just love watching these designs roll in every day. So with that said, I won't keep y'all any longer. If you like this video and want to see more like it, then subscribe, and turn on the bell to get notified when I upload next.